Let's turn now to Mike Boyd for a closer look at China's aviation industry. He is president of Boyd Group International, a multi-dimensional aviation research and consulting firm. Hello there, Mike. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here.
All right. Let's start with this anticipated figure, 80 million air passengers during the upcoming Spring Festival period. What do you make of these numbers and what they mean for China's aviation sector?
Well, domestic travel has come back strongly. For example, this year, in terms of departures and number of passengers, it's still down about maybe 1.5 or 2% prior to COVID. But the real telling number is the number of miles flown is down almost 18%, which means international travel has not come back. But boy, domestic travel is gangbusters.
Okay, so what then is the outlook for international travel, would you say, for China?
Well, you know, we were involved. We put a Huanying Dasher program, a welcome ambassador program at Las Vegas back in 2016, and it was gangbusters. We worked with the arriving people from China. There were literally, at that time, about 4 million people coming nonstop from China to the U.S., of which 3 million were tourists. Unfortunately, that tourist traffic has dried up, and until that comes back, I think even across the world, we're going to have to wait for the Chinese tourists to start opening up their wallets again.
I mean, air travel everywhere is experiencing this kind of post-pandemic bounce. China is no exception. What can the government do to encourage more travel to China and from China internationally?
Well, you know, the issue is letting people travel freely. Back in 2016, 2017, when we were working with our team in Las Vegas, our Chinese welcome team in Las Vegas, these are people that wanted to go all over. They didn't want to go to one place, they wanted to go all over. Chinese tourists are the most wonderful in the world, the most aggressive in the world, and very honestly, probably the most polite in the world, despite what people say. But what the government has to do is encourage more outbound tourism, because that's where the real future is for travel.
And Mike, do you see this trend of increased international travel eating into domestic flights in China, or will they both grow concurrently?
Oh, no. The unique part of China is there are no connecting hubs. You know, today there's so much demand. If someone wants to go from Zhengzhou to Tianjin, they got a nonstop. So the real issue is it's totally separate. And so you could have nonstop service out of, well, actually we had nonstop service to the U.S. out of 15 cities before the pandemic. That can come back again. That's what really has to happen. But the two are very separate. International will be additive to domestic. It will not hurt domestic.
So as these numbers for domestic travel really just skyrocket, what does it also tell us about the state of China's economy in general, would you say?
Well, you know, we've found since the pandemic, the relationship between spending discretionary funds and air travel has changed. Historically, if there was any kind of an economic downturn, air travel went right down the fixture. That isn't the way it is in the U.S., and apparently in China it isn't that way, because traveling by air has a much higher priority, apparently, both in China and in the U.S., than it did prior to the pandemic.
And you know, Mike, we have time for just one more question, and I really have to bring this in because we can't talk about aviation, especially this week, without bringing up that spectacular event here in the state of Portland, a mid-air blowout of a door plug, and it's brought, as we all know, new scrutiny to the aircraft maker Boeing. Do safety issues like this have any impact on China's own aviation industry?
No, it really doesn't. And China, to be very blunt, I love China. Their aviation industry, the C919, the ARJ21, they're behind the curve. I mean, what China can do is far better than that, and that means it's a bright future, but you've got to move beyond these current models, and it could be a very bright future.
Mike Boyd is the president of Boyd Group International. We thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you.